One second. All right, so we are going to get started. Today we're going to talk about keeping it all together. So this means all of your resources and your sources for your dissertation, your thesis, or whatever culminating project you may have. My name is Jade, by the way. I am currently in the doctoral program for education and curriculum. I'm in my last year, so I'm currently working on my dissertation. And I have found that all of these tips that I'm about to share with you are very helpful, and all of these programs are very helpful. And I'm also currently a writing coach. So if you have questions that might be about writing or whatever, just we have Hillary here and also Miranda here to answer any questions. We're all writing coaches. So today's goal, like I said, we're going to talk about getting organized with your resources for your dissertation or your thesis or your culminating project. We're going to explore reference managers such as Mendeley or Zotero and the OneNote program, something called the matrix method, and strategies to organize your writing time, since that's always difficult. So first, I want to talk about something to keep in mind before we start talking about these managers. Is once you start your graduate program, whether it be your master's or your doctorate, you kind of want to have an idea of the topic you want to explore. So coming in with a general topic is always helpful, so you can tailor your assignments in each class to whatever you're working on. So keeping your topic general at first is what I was told was the most helpful, because you don't want to get too deep into one specific topic and then realize later on that you're not too interested and you've done all of your research and all of your work on this topic that you're not really thrilled about. So coming in with an idea, but maybe not too specific of an idea what you want to do. Also, having an idea will provide you time to organize your resources. Sorry. Start finding, let me back up. Having an idea of your topic will provide you an opportunity to start finding, organizing, and reading resources specific to your topic early on. And then, like I said, you can tailor your classroom assignments with your topic in mind. So first, we're going to start talking about reference managers. What is a reference manager? So it's a resource that stores all of your references in one place. So when you're searching for articles or books and you can't read them all at one time, you can just store them all in one place for later reference. It keeps all of that organized by using folders and subfolders. It also allows you to annotate, take notes, ask questions on the document. You are able to import these references easily and quickly. Sorry. Why? It allows you to access your references from anywhere. So you'll have a desktop manager, but if you're not around your own computer, you can also get your references from the web by logging in. Why is this happening? Sorry. You can generate citations for your reference list. So whatever you do an in-text citation, you can also automatically generate a full reference for your bibliography or your reference or your works cited. It allows you to easily collaborate with your peers, so you can share your folders with your peers if they have Zotero or Mendeley as well. And then we'll go a little bit into each of those more next. So there are two free reference managers that I use. I use Mendeley and Zotero. There's more out there. And there's some you can pay for that have more benefits to them, but these are the two free ones that I use. And I usually use for my personal stuff Mendeley, because I find it easier to download PDFs. It just seems a lot quicker for me. Sometimes with Zotero, I have to download the document to my desktop and then move it to my folders. But when you're sharing folders with people, some might have Zotero, so I actually have both, so that if I need to work with others, I can collaborate over either one. So here is a screenshot of my desktop of my Zotero. So you can see here on the top right, I have all of my folders that I'm researching, or that I'm reading about. So my dissertation is on writing coaching. So I have everything that I need, all the folders that I need for like my literature review or everything that I need to read up on for my field. And then you see here, I have all of my articles that I have saved directly to this folder that are on coaching. So it's really nice to have this here, because what I used to do is just save them to a Google Drive folder, and then that would just kind of get to be a mess. So this was really easy to download just to these folders right away. You can also share your folders with your researchers and peers. So here I have a screenshot of my Zotero as well. And you can see I have a group library here at the bottom. So this makes it so if I'm working on research or a proposal or just even a classroom project with someone, we can share our folders and we can either divvy up the reading, or we can add articles. So everyone's adding articles, not just one person. So it's really easy to collaborate, and you can add a bunch of people to these folders and create multiple folders. Sorry, my computer is like not wanting to work for me. Oh, so here's what it will look like on your screen. So when, say you're in Google Scholar or the Boise State Library and you want to save a specific article or document, you'll have these little icons on the top of your screen. So this is Zotero and Mendeley. And so you'll just press on these and it will give you the option to save it to your Mendeley or Zotero within your folders. And it's super quick. You just click on them, and it's just a really fast process. Once you click on that icon, you will have a drop down that looks like this. So here you can see I have my coaching folder up, but you can use this little arrow to figure out which folder you want to save it to. And then you'll just check this journal article that you're working on. You'll click here, and then you'll add it to that folder. You can add it to all of your folders. You can add it to just one or two folders. So it just depends on where you're wanting to save it on your Mendeley or Zotero, and you can easily do it here. You can also take notes and annotate. So once you have all of your resources saved to your folders, you can go into your articles that you have saved and you can highlight right on there. You can make a comment or ask yourself questions or make notes just like you typically would if you have it printed out in front of you. It won't come up like a big sticky note like this everywhere. Once you're done, you can just press this little check mark, and then it will just turn into this little comment icon. And then once you're done, you just click out of it and you can go back to it later in your reference manager, and it will still have all of your notes there and be easy to access. This is really cool. I haven't really played around with this enough, but once I was looking more into it, I wish I would have known about this earlier. So they also have a citation generator. So this is a screenshot of using Zotero and Google Docs, but you can create references or your bibliography automatically from your in-text citations. So say you cite an author, you can just highlight that and go through the steps, and it will automatically generate the full citation at the bottom end of your document in your reference list. There are tons of Google or YouTube videos for you to watch that take you step through this process, because the first time it takes a few steps, but then once you get used to it, it will be a lot easier than at the end going and finding all your resources and figuring out who you cited and making sure you have all your resources there. It's just a really easy way to get your references there. They're not always going to be perfect, so you're going to want to make sure that you go and you edit them and revise them if they're missing some information, because it doesn't always capture every piece of information. But you can use Zotero specifically in Word, LibreOffice, and Google Docs, and you can use it with any of the citation styles provided, and most of the major ones are provided. So this is an example of the Mendeley citation generator in Word. So it's kind of similar, but it has this called Mendeley Citomatic right on the top of your Word document. And here you can insert your citation. It essentially does the same thing. It's just, this is what it looks like in Word. Some of the things that it's specified that it is, you can select and insert individual or multiple reference at once. So you can get all 4 of your references at the bottom at one time. You can edit them if needed, and then you can change your preferred citation styles. So what's next? So after you get all of your resources in your folders, the next step you want to do is take organized notes on these resources. So whether it's a research article, books, book chapters, you want to make sure that you're starting to keep notes, and the earlier the better, because you're never going to go back and think, oh, I should have taken notes on that. So even all of your classwork, keeping your notes organized is really important. When you come to your thesis, you're like, oh, I remember doing that in class, but I can't remember where it's at. So it's really good to get started right now with organizing your notes and having them in one spot. This will make it seem less daunting when you go to your literature review or any other research or whatever your culminating project is. You have all of it there and ready. So one suggestion is to make sure to organize your notes by topic or by class to help just when you need them later, it's an easy reference. One thing that I use, and I wish I would have known about this earlier, but I started using it when I started doing my dissertation, is using OneNote. So what is the OneNote program? It's a free program that you can just download to your computer. It helps keep all of your reading or class notes in one place. It allows you to create folders and subfolders for your research topics. You can also, I would suggest like having a folder for each of your classes, starting from your first class, have a folder that you can keep all of your notes in. It allows you to take handwritten notes and then convert them to typed text later. And it lets you highlight, draw, do shapes, and whatever you need to do to help make those connections. This is a screenshot of one page of my OneNote. If you notice, I have all of these folders here on the left, and these are all my research topics. And then within those folders, so right now I'm in coaching, I have coaching up, but within those folders, I have subfolders. So not only am I coaching, but I have specific instructional coaching, literacy coaching, and then the seminal works that I've been reading on coaching. So you can do tons of subtopics, tons of folders. I would suggest, like I said, doing each class. I know that when I was taking notes in class, I'm the kind of person who likes to write it out. So I would have a journal for every class. But then when I got to my dissertation, I realized, oh, I don't know where that is. Like I need to go find which journal that was in. And it's kind of time consuming. So one thing you can do is if you still like to do that, maybe take pictures and you can upload pictures in here. So take pictures of your notes and put them in your folders, or do what Hillary was saying, I think it was called the Rocket Notebook, so that you can just convert them straight into your OneNote. You can also upload documents into here. So if maybe you read in class a document that was specific to your topic, you can just upload it right into your OneNote. So it's really good for class notes and for research topic for your literature reviews. You see here, you don't need to put your citation. I just put my citation here just as a reminder of what I'm reading about. And then all of my notes. And then I drew this Venn diagram to help me organize in my own mind, like what this was about. I also recommend putting page numbers because it's really frustrating when you don't take that grade of notes and then you don't really remember where it's from. So making sure you have page number to reference later. And if you're going to directly quote, you know exactly which page you got it from. Another method I like to use to keep my reading notes organized is called the matrix method. So it obviously is a method that uses a matrix, but it helps you organize your reading notes. So you can use either Google Sheets, Excel, or Word. It allows you to keep track of all the research articles you have read on various topics throughout your classwork and research. For the matrix method, I usually like to use Google Sheets because you can share that with everyone. So if you're doing a collaborative project, you can share that with everyone who's on the project. And then it allows you to keep your notes on the same topic in one space. Here is another screenshot, and this is a screenshot of my matrix. So when you're reading research articles, it's really beneficial to take notes. Hillary kind of talked about this too, about like the abstract of what's happening within the journal or within the article. So I put the citation here. Again, you can tailor this to whatever you need. But I put the citation first, and then I put the research question and purposes right here, the theoretical framework, the method that they used, and the data sources that they used, as well as the context and participants, results, and notes. And like I said, you can tailor this. Sometimes I have additional columns or like definition. So I wanted to create a definition of coaching. So I made sure every article I read, I copied and pasted their definition so that I can use all of the resources to create my own definition. So it's really just a way to easily outline what each article was about. Theoretical framework. I don't often cite people's theoretical frameworks, but it was really helpful for me to identify the theoretical frameworks that were being used in my field. So if it's like the adult learning theory or the social cognitive theory, if you see those continuously coming up in your field, they're probably something that you want to look into more when you're doing your research, and it kind of gives you a basis of where to start with your theoretical framework. Also, putting page numbers is important. Again, you want to be able to reference it later because you're not always going to remember what you were talking about. And then I put an arrow here because it's important to make sure you do sheets or pages, different pages for the topic. So I have coaching on dispositions, I have coach self-efficacy, I have all of it split up as much as possible. So it's easier when I go write my literature review or if I need information on a topic. So when would it be best to use each? So I use both of these. I use OneNote when I'm reading things like books, book chapters, websites, anything where there's not an outline of methods and results, and you can't really fill in those boxes. I just take notes on OneNote. But then I use the matrix method, obviously, when there are those different pieces of the article. So the research questions, the methods, the results. So I have two of those, and I go back and forth depending on what I'm reading. At first, I tried to use the matrix method with books, and I was really realizing this doesn't work. I can't take notes in these little boxes, and it just got really crazy. So I found the OneNote, which has been really helpful. So after you take your reading, or you take your notes on your reading, you have your resources, that's when you can start writing. Like Hillary said, you can start writing first and whatnot. This is not necessarily a linear process. It's recursive and like a spiraling process. So you're going to need to be researching and reading and writing and going backwards between all of these processes during your whole program. So even though I'm presenting them as linear, it's really not. This is just to get you started. And another reminder, while writing is a challenging task, we are all writers, so don't get discouraged. This is all something that we're learning to do as we go through these programs, especially academic writing. It's a whole total other beast than what we're used to. So I'm going to talk about some tips to stay organized with your writing time. So schedule your writing sessions. I have found to have been really helpful for me because I'm a procrastinator, like big time. So when I schedule them, I make sure I think of it as kind of like a job, and that, okay, if something comes up within this time, I'm going to say no because I need to stick to this writing time. And that's kind of hard because it's easy to say, oh, I can write later, but really scheduling it and sticking to it is very important for these big projects, these culminating projects. So what I found to work is start with 15-minute blocks. And then once you increase your writing stamina, just go up by 5-minute increments. If you only block out 15 minutes, you're way more likely to do it than if you block out 2 hours, because you're going to be like, oh, I do not want to write for 2 hours. And then you're just going to avoid it. So start with 15 minutes, get your 15 minutes done, do it again the next day, and then continue to add on time. Another tip for organizing your writing time is to keep and share a writing log. So I've actually had people in my writing groups do this, and they say it works really well. I haven't tried it yet, but it keeps you on track and helps you hold you accountable to yourself and others. It can also serve as a positive reinforcement when you feel like you have not made progress. So this is an example of a writing log. You see that they have the dates, or the dates and the times and what they worked on. And then little notes here on this side of what they did. So notice they on August 10th, they wrote like 5-6 different times, and some of the increments were even 5 minutes. So this method helps you because it motivates you to spend that 5 minutes writing. Because if you're like me, I'm like, I can't write unless I have an hour or two. I won't get anything done. But then I avoid writing unless I have that big chunk of time, which isn't that often that I have a big chunk of time. So this is a good tool to use to get you motivated to write within that 5-minute period. And it's also good because right here you write notes where you end up. So I ended here, this is what I did. So if you take time off of something, say for a few days or a few weeks, you'll know exactly where you left off when you go back to start writing on that project again. Researchers have actually found that those who keep a writing log like this are 4 times more productive. Those who share their writing logs with others are 9 times more productive. So maybe you have a mentor you can share with, or a writing group, or just someone to hold you accountable. You'll be 9 times more productive than someone who just does the writing log, which is really interesting. Okay, so how about if you need help with using these programs? Like I mentioned earlier, there's a ton of YouTube tutorials for the Mendeley and Zotero and OneNote. These are especially useful for that citation generator because those can be a little tricky at first, but it's just like 4 steps and then you'll know how to do it for the long run. And then also come see us at the Graduate Student Success Center. You can sign up for one-on-one consultations with us through the Bronco Finish Line. And if you want to see us in person, we're in Riverfront Hall, room 318. And if you want to meet, you can also meet with us via Zoom, depending on if you feel comfortable coming in or you just want to meet online. All right, that is all. I went through that really quickly. Do we have any questions about these methods or programs? Or does anyone want to share what they use to help stay organized?
Jade, there's a question in the chat.
So there, you download them on the web. So you'll go in, you'll go to mendeley.com or Zotero, and then it will take you through a process, and then it will end up being like a, what is it called, on your desktop. I don't know if it's necessarily an application, but you don't know what I'm talking about. It will be like an icon on your desktop, and then you can open it from there. Desktop app. There we go. Are there any other questions or ways that, because I know I didn't really know about any of this till I think my 2nd year in my doctoral program, and I wish I would have known about these way earlier because they're very helpful for when you're in a rush and you see something, you need to save it, keeping everything organized.
So as BSU students, we have access to like the Microsoft suite of products, right? Even if we don't like have a personal license to use those ourselves.
I believe so, yes, yep.
Do you know where, like, do you know how we can set that up, or like where we get that information for a license for that?
I think you would have to talk to Hillary or Miranda, do you know? I think I always go Bronco Help when I need anything, or like I'm not sure. Can't remember how I did that. I'm not sure if Wayne would know, or.
I mean, you can try purchasing it. Oh, somebody's got it. And she said tech support set it up.
Tech support, okay.
Yeah, there's a pretty extensive, that link is a good one to go to OIT to download stuff. And then if there's an issue with it, you can always contact OIT if you're having trouble like installing it.
Cool, thank you.
What? Oh, sorry. Sorry, Jade.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to add in or reiterate something that you said. So I actually am still in my master's program, my last year, and I'm planning on going into a doctoral program. So probably the best advice that I received is, like Jade said, if you know a general topic, you can go ahead and, at least in my department, they allow you to tailor all of your assignments towards what it will eventually be my doctoral thesis. So I have been collecting resources and references all along. And I mean, if you're thinking about putting out 120 page dissertation, depending on your program, it's a really good idea, instead of spending, 6 months doing all of your research, starting to collect it now. And like Jade said, you may end up changing the focus a little bit as you get further along, but a lot of times you can still use those early resources later.
Thanks, Miranda. Does anyone else have questions before we sign off? Or ideas for organizing that you've used that have worked? Because I know there's I know there's like EndNote and other programs, but I think those ones aren't free.
Between Zotero and Mendeley, do you use one more frequently than the other?
Yeah, I definitely use Mendeley more often because I find it easier to download PDFs. Zotero, sometimes I have to download it to the to the desktop, and then I have to drag it into my folder, which can be annoying when I'm trying to get a ton of resources at once. So Mendeley has been a little more user-friendly for me. But when I'm working, I have both, because when I work with other colleagues, they sometimes have Zotero. And so having both is just easier for collaborating, because you can't collaborate across the programs.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Anything else?
I just wanted to say that I wasn't planning to come for this session, but it has been super helpful, because what you mentioned about OneNote was exactly what I was looking for, but did not know what I was looking for. Thank you.
Oh, good. I'm glad. Yeah. So OneNote is great. Like I said, if you like taking handwritten notes, you can always take pictures and upload them. But I find like I'm kicking myself in the butt because I have to always go find my journal from like 5 years ago or whatever in my master's program. And I'm like, I wish I just would have had it all in one spot, instead of doing a new journal and then it goes in my garage somewhere. So it's just one tool to help keep everything organized. And I like that you can do the subtopics, because that even like pinpoints even easier later on. Oh, this is exactly what I need. Anything else? All right, well, thank you. Make sure to come visit us if you have any questions, and we're looking forward to seeing you.
Thank you.
Thank you.